Hello there.
Hi, Liz. How are you? You okay?
I'm good. My chair just got stuck. Emergency averted. How are things today?
I'm fine.
Good.
I'm at the theatre with Gok Wan, so I've got to go back to him soon. So yeah, I've been interviewing Gok.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
He seems like a really lovely guy. I've never met him, but he seems very cool.
He's really, he's funny. He's really nice. Like you say, he's just, what you see is what you get with him, and he's like that. So yeah.
Fab, we love that.
So you're doing the Blue Bonnin 2 tour.
I am.
And is it that must be your ultimate goal, I guess, to do something like this?
You know, the more I think about it now that I'm doing press for it, the more I realise what an absolute dream job it is to be in an arena full of people where we can all celebrate the wonders of the natural world and also celebrate the beauty and creativity of humanity with this 74-piece orchestra, with music written by an absolute genius, Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a very special, very unique experience. And what I'm looking forward to more than anything really is how we're all going to be connected in that celebration of wildlife. I think that's going to be very special for me.
I mean, did you see this show that Anita was narrating?
I didn't, because I was traveling at the time, so I didn't get to see it. Yeah. So in a way, it's interesting because I don't really have an idea of what it's like yet. So I'm kind of grateful for the rehearsals because I can get over all that sort of. I'm sure I'm going to get emotional. I get emotional every time I hear that music. The theme music to Planet Earth 2 is pretty extraordinary. So, I just can't wait. I really can't wait.
My daughter goes to bed every night and listens to the Blue Planet 2 main theme. It's
oh my God, that's so divine to hear.
It is. So ever since she came to the show, which was Nita did, and she just went home and then found it on Apple Music, whatever it is, and then every night it's on every night. So
you see, I mean, I obviously I'm going to say this, but we can't underestimate just how powerful events like this can be.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's really wonderful about these landmark series and how they're extended and adapted by the BBC to bring it to an audience in a different way, almost raising the bar with respect to the kind of the experience you're going to get and how much it's going to inspire you and move you and ultimately change you as a person.
Yeah.
I just think that's what this concert is going to be about. And I mean, your daughter is a shining example of that, isn't she?
Yeah, she is. And she come away being motivated. She's only 11, but she was 10 when she saw it, and she was motivated to want to do something in that sort of field when she leaves school. So
oh my God, that's just the most gorgeous thing to hear. It really is.
It is. I mean, for yourself then, what? I mean, I know Anita did what she did, but what are you going to bring to the show? You know, I know you got experience. I know you got your masters in wild animal biology, conservation, and all that. But what are you going to be more talking about? The impact of what's happened to the environment between the movies, or?
Well, my role is really to take the audience by the hand and contextualize each scene. Okay. Obviously, I spend my life working on these types of programs, and so we're working on the script together. And I really want the music and the sequences to work their magic. I want to keep the talking to a minimum, but I do want to add sort of my experience to it. And as much as the messaging is going to come through in the images and the music as well, I also want to help to inspire by sort of communicating how these sequences move me. But I'm also really, because I was curious when we were picking, when the sequences were being picked, I want to give extra little tidbits that we may have not gotten from the series, both with respect to how the sequences were achieved, to perhaps the behaviors themselves, and also actually how Hans Zimmer and the team went about writing music for particular sequences as well. Little funny anecdotes about why that little, and ask the audience to listen out for that little tiny little note there, just to kind of to enrich the experience for the viewers. But ultimately, I hope that because of my experiences and my understanding of the natural world, I can bring that in some of the narrative to again add another layer of understanding and appreciation. But really and truly, first and foremost, it's the music and it's the visuals, isn't it? It's going to be that's going to do most of the work for us.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously you touched about when you said about the music, but you obviously yourself were in a group, weren't you, back in the day?
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, I was young and playing at being a pop star, yeah.
Yeah. So you've obviously got the feel for music, and it's in in your blood, I guess. But how did you then go from that to presenting? Was it Rise on Channel 4, something like that? And then
I studied biochemistry,
yeah,
and I knew I was going to continue academia, but I wanted to take a year out because at that point I knew I wasn't. I was supposed to do a PhD in neurodegenerative diseases after my biochemistry degree, but I knew that I wanted to veer into wildlife conservation and understanding more how to protect the planet. So I took a year out, and I had been singing in a band, and I was very open to just any opportunities really because I was just looking to have a great year off.
Yeah.
And somebody approached me to present a music awards show on RTE in Ireland, and I went, yeah, sure, a bit of a laugh, and that led to another thing and another thing, another presenting job. And before I knew it, somebody from Channel 4 came over to Ireland and said, would you like to present a breakfast show in London? And so because I always knew I was going to go back to academia, but I just thought, well, this is another great opportunity I would never have imagined. Off I went to London and did a bit of work there too. And I'm really grateful for that experience, and actually at the time staying open to new opportunities, because what that resulted in was a combining my first passion, my first love for science and the natural world with this newfound passion for storytelling. Because I had some great producers at the time who were like, well, how would you say this story? How would you tell the story? Go ahead and write up the story and the treatment and stuff. So I got this appreciation for about how to communicate stories. And so then I thought, okay, it's time to go back to school. I want to learn more about, conservation. But wouldn't it be great if I could now help to tell stories about what I really care about, what I really feel passionate about? And that's how it all came to be, really. And I'm so lucky to be doing the absolute dream job, even though at the time I didn't know that's what I wanted to do.
But it sounds like, I mean, it comes across like you've always had this destiny to become what you do, but were you not tempted to say sidetrack and go into something else through TV at any point?
Say that again? Was I not tempted to what?
Yeah, so were you not tempted to say go into a different sort of field of TV when you were working in London, or was it always your goal where you were going to go back to academia? That was your...
Oh, it was always, it was always academia. I was trying to find the right course to get back on track with regards to knowing that I had a biochemistry degree and I had only done 1 year of zoology in university before you start specializing in, and I loved biochemistry, by the way. I wanted to understand how everything worked down to the chemical equations that make them up. That was my first interest. I was very mindful that I was ready to go back to academia, and I wanted to play a role in protecting our wildlife. That was always the plan.
I mean, are your parents then very academic? Was that because that's why you've gone down the path you've gone down, because your parents were like that, or was it something that you
I just loved biology and chemistry in school. I just loved it. Everybody has their thing, and for me, that was my passion. That's what I wanted to understand, and that's what I loved, and I found it easy because I loved it.
And do you have any, were your family happy with the path you've taken then? Because I know you've got so many, qualifications. You could have gone into any field of, say, wildlife, zoology, anything like that. Were they happy with the route you've taken?
I'm sure they are. Mum's dead proud. She can't, she's a bit beside herself. Yeah, no, it's all, but also I think, what I've learned over the years is, obviously your family matters, but what matters most is what you believe you can do and is what makes you happy. So for me, that was always why I was sort of open to things and never felt under pressure to follow a certain path just because, your parents obviously worry and would like you to have a good career, etc. That's a natural thing. And it's a beautiful thing. It's part of being a parent. But I think for me, I was always keen to just kind of make my own path in life and eventually find what I really love to do.
And talking about if TV, I mean, you've also done a lot of traveling. I took the Galapagos, which I've been to the Galapagos Islands, one of the best spots
you lucky man.
Yeah, very fortunate. And also you did Alaska, and then you've gone, but you did a big thing on the drowning in plastic, because that's the current nasty sort of thing that's going on, or it's been going on for years.
Indeed.
But I mean, when you've been around the world, then you must see it firsthand, all the damage that's been done by us. I'll say yours because it is the human race, isn't it?
Oh yeah, totally. We're all in it. Yeah, we're all responsible. Yeah, I think even with the programs I was making before, whether it was like a program on animal behavior or, animal migrations or whatever the subject was, you're working with scientists and conservationists who are helping you craft your story, but are also, when we're finished filming, we're having chats about what they're studying and what they're seeing. And, it's sort of quite a long time now, it's become apparent that the planet has been struggling. Yeah. So I was very aware of that anyway. I think the plastic film, because it was a real, it was a project that was unapologetic about how hard-hitting it was going to be. Yeah. We really went in no holds barred, and it was it was even harder, to make because, I saw with my own eyes just how our modern world is impacting, our wildlife, even in the farthest reaches of our blue planet. So it was quite a difficult project to make. Yeah. It's changed me even more. It's made me even more, the fire in my belly is even greater with respect to how I feel I need to help to continue to communicate what all of us can do to make the changes that the planet needs. I'm in it now. There's no getting out of it. I feel really strongly about where the buck stops when it comes to our environmental crises, and so I hope to continue to communicate that in many different ways.
And it's not too late, is it? Because, I know it's like the main thing at the moment, and it should be, but do you think enough has been done by, say, the TV channels and the media and the press?
Well, I don't think enough is being done at policy level and at big industry level, that's for sure. I think ultimately we've all got a part to play. We've all got to make our voices heard as individuals. Certainly as communicators, it's our role to continue to, get cut through all the fake news and all the nonsense and all the greenwashing, and make sure that the public are armed with the correct information and the facts, and also armed with the tools to feel that they are not, that they can be empowered, that they can be part of the solution. Yeah. But ultimately, what I've learned, certainly from the plastics program, and I've just finished making an environmental film about the impact of meat production on our environment, which goes out in November on BBC One. Okay. And from both those environmental films, I am under no illusion about where the buck stops, and it's at policy level and at big industry level.
And hopefully they will listen, but whether they do is another story because of the money. It's all about money, isn't it?
It is. What I find, look, there is hope with, in the words of the wonderful Greta Thunberg, who is a hero of mine, with action, hope is everywhere. And, we can feel hopeless, or we can try and grasp for hope, but hope doesn't exist unless we each get off our whaties and do something about it ourselves. Yeah. In every little bit of small change that you can make ends up being a big change. Case in point, she was sitting outside the House of the Parliament in Sweden by herself with a placard a year ago, and now, 2 weeks ago, millions upon millions of people were coming together in parks all over the world, speaking out about how they want their planet to change, how they want their global leaders to change. So change can happen. Yeah. But what was the question you asked me?
Again, I've got that's what I do. I'll talk and ask a question, go off on a tangent, and I have to go back and listen to the recording.
No, we diverted there, but it was a good question.
But it was, I think it was. Anyway, I know what it was. It was just, do you think enough's been done by the government and the policy through policy? That's what it was.
Yeah, no, clearly it's not. Clearly not enough is being done. That's it really. Clearly not enough is being done, but I do feel that. Oh yes, the thing about hope, there's no point hoping for change if we don't all, do something about it ourselves. Yeah. But I also think that, before I used to think that there's only so much each of us can do. We can change our plastic habits. We can use reusable cups. We can change our toothbrushes. We can say no to plastic bags.
Yeah.
But really, we can't change the world ourselves unless, our world leaders get on board and really make the changes that need to happen. But the more I'm in this kind of area of communication, the more I realize that we can do more. Like each of us as individuals has even more clout than we think. And that's why I really support the climate strikes, because we're making our voices heard at a level where our world leaders are going to have to sit up and listen.
Yeah.
And what I find really absurd, and perhaps I'm being naive that I didn't realize just how normal this was, that most politicians are funded by corporations.
Yeah.
And it's only when I watched Knock Down the House with about the magnificent Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez that I understood, these four women were running for Congress without any corporate funding, without funding from the fossil fuel industry, etc. And I looked at that, and she made it into Congress, and I think that's the way I want my leaders to run for office. I don't want anybody, I won't believe a word any of these politicians say if they're funded by the very industry that's led us to this existential crisis.
Yeah.
This is the biggest existential crisis we are facing in our history, and apparently for them, for the fossil fuel industry, it's business as usual.
Yeah.
So 99% of plastics are made by fossil fuels, from fossil fuels, right?
Yeah.
And currently, we're producing 400 million tons of plastic every year, and that's set to increase to 800 million tons of plastic by 2040. So for them, for the fossil fuel industry / petrochemical industry, it's business as usual. And these are the industries that are funding our politicians. So where's the problem? Where does the buck stop really? And I'm saying this as a member of the public, just as a consumer who can't understand that this is the way our leaders are deciding to run our world. And then we wonder why we're facing such an environmental crisis. That has to change. And that's why I really commend women like Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, and why I wholeheartedly support the strikes.
It's you just said. I mean, I think it's got to be done on a war footing, because I spoke to Doug Allen. He's a photographer.
I love him. I'm such a fan of his.
I spoke to him recently. He was saying sort of the same things, but it's got to be done as a war footing. So we're at war, but it's war against what's happening with the plastics in the environment. It's got to be done by government level, but like you say, everyone's funded by these corporations.
And that has to stop. It has to stop.
Yeah, but it won't. No, will it? Listen, it won't. That's the thing. It's got to stop, and maybe it will happen, I hope.
And the only way it's going to stop is through us making our voices heard in this way.
Yeah.
And also, what gives me hope is also that at sort of industry level, at economics level, there are wonderful economists like Kate Raworth. She's taking part in the climate strikes with Extinction Rebellion.
Yeah.
She talks about how the economic model needs to be rewritten, and for me, that's really heartening. None of this linear, degenerative, take all the money out of this resource before you chuck it away business. It's a completely outdated model. She, as an economist, is talking about a much more sustainable, she calls it an ecosystem of resource use. And that for me is really heartening. That's where hope is happening, at the very level where, if we're relying on an economic model that got us into this environmental problem in the first place to get us out of it, that's just nonsensical, right? So the fact that people in economics are talking about how that needs to be rewritten, how we need to talk about degrowth as opposed to constantly, expecting growth in a company, that also gives me hope.
And like you say, I'll probably end it there, because I know I can talk all day to you.
I'm sorry, I rambled on a lot.
No. I think Warren's probably enjoyed it anyway, hopefully. So.
He's loved it. Warren's loved it. He's here nodding and smiling.
Oh no, I like to talk.
Warren's going, hurry up.
tell him he knows I do a good job. So.
Thanks a million, Carl. Lovely talking to you.
Thank you, Liz. I'll come and see you
Have
inside.
a lovely afternoon. Looking forward to. Are you going to go? Are you?
Oh gosh, yeah, of course I am. Yeah.
Fab.
I'll bring my daughter as well.
Oh my gosh! Will you come backstage and say hello? I'd love to meet your daughter.
Is that okay? Well, if Warren can sort that, yeah, I will do. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant.
All right, Liz. Thank you.
Take care. Take care, Carl. Bye bye.
Bye bye.